Fox Sports.
We are Baltimore. We are Kansas City.
Happy Sunday to you from Kauffman Stadium in Kansas City for the final game of this series between the Texas Rangers and the Kansas City Royals. Royals baseball is presented by Academy Sports and Outdoors. In Game 1 on Friday, Danny Duffy was terrific, giving up just 1 run in 6 2/3 innings. He had the high fastball working, and he was in control, and he has been the Royals' most solid starting pitcher this year. The Royals would win it by a final score of 3-1. Then on Saturday night, it was Cole Hamels' turn, and he was equally as tough. Gave up just 1 unearned run in 5 1/3 innings. Off speed, he kept the Royals with his changeup and curveball combination, and the Texas Rangers would win Game 2 by a final score of 7-3. Hi, everybody. Steve Physiak, Rex Hudler with you, and this is the final game of this series, and Ned Yost talks all the time, just win series.
That's all that's important today. They're going to do whatever they can do to get on, score some early runs. That would be really good for Volquez. Volquez has had some troubles in the first innings, but look, it's all about getting that lead and holding on and getting the series, because look, that's what the game revolves around, winning series.
And ever since that tough outing against the Houston Astros, Volquez has been very, very sharp with an ERA under 4. Now, the Texas Rangers, they've had their share of troubles, particularly with injuries. A.J. Griffin will get the start today. We'll talk about their starting rotation next. Steve Physiak and Rex Hudler with you. We talked about Cole Hamels, who's been the best starting pitcher for Texas. Knocked off the Royals last night 7-3, but the rest of the staff, particularly since the middle of June, have really struggled.
Let's hope that's the case today. They got to get the series, and they've got to be able to find a way to score runs. Cole Hamels, man, not one guy can carry the whole team, but it looks like that. The others, ooh, not so good. Those are ugly numbers, and I hope it stays that way. We don't care much about the Rangers anyway. Let them go away.
And Alex Gordon is 5 for 5 against today's starting pitcher, A.J. Griffin. Meantime, how about the rookie Cheslor Cuthbert? Will have his story along with Nomar Mazara. They have been two outstanding rookies in the American League this year. That's next. By Menards. Save big money at Menards on all your home improvement needs. And by your Midwest Ford dealers. Visit us at your MidwestFordDealers.com. Stadium. We come to you from Kauffman Stadium. Steve Physiak, Rex Hudler. The American League's leading candidate for Rookie of the Year is very likely Michael Fulmer of Detroit. He's got 9 wins, 81 strikeouts already. But on the offensive side, Cheslor Cuthbert and Nomar Mazara, who we'll see today, have really shined.
And both players coming in the nick of time for their teams. Filling in for injuries, injured players. You'd never expect a guy to come up like Cuthbert and do what he's doing, replacing Moustakas. Now, his defense has been fabulous, but the way he's handling his bat, he's controlling, he's using the whole field, mainly staying straight away. You Darvish couldn't even believe it. That's right, you. He got you.
Nomar Mazara, meantime, a home run in this game, a long one. He is 5 for 7 in this series.
Similar players, except for one hitter on one side of the plate to the other. Look, but he's doing the job, driving Rangers home and opening up a lot of eyes. These two young players have been terrific.
Our Honda most trusted plays. You see what Mazara has done. 12 home runs and leads all rookies in RBIs. And Cuthbert, how about that hit streak?
That's right. Now, Cuthbert's got some pop. May not have as much as the young 21-year-old Mazara, but look, that average speaks volumes as he uses the whole field. He's not a one-dimensional hitter. Mazara, he's going to pull most of his home runs, but still fun to watch these guys go free and easy, fluid-style swings.
Edinson Volquez, meantime, is getting ready for an old team that he used to pitch for. We'll have more from the K right after this. premier Mazda game break is about what took place 33 years ago today. George Brett and the Pine Tar game.
The stretch by Gossing's the pitch. There's a drive to deep right field. Back goes Kemp at the wall. Home run. And they're going to claim that Brett's bat is illegal. Billy Martin is out of the dugout. They're looking George Brett's bat over. Now they call George Brett out, and here comes an argument. Here comes an argument. George Brett at the plate. Oh, and he is furious. He's trying to get to an umpire. George Brett may have already been suspended. Dick Hauser out arguing. George Brett came charging out of the dugout. The Royals have lost the home run in the ball game. And George Brett is furious at the plate umpire, Tim McClellan. This game is over, and the Royals have lost it.
That's the great Fred White with the call. Now we'll play the Royals and Rangers, the final game of this series. First pitch is coming your way next. To you by the Missouri Lottery. Every ticket you play gives back to schools across Missouri, so play it forward with the Missouri Lottery. By Menards. Save big money at Menards on all your home improvement needs. And by your Midwest Ford dealers. Visit us at your MidwestFordDealers.com. Another hot afternoon in Kansas City. Steve Physiak, Rex Hudler, Joel Goldberg, Jeff Montgomery with you. 97 degrees. Just moments before the first pitch. It feels like 106, but a great crowd on hand for the final game of this series. And Edinson Volquez takes the hill for his team-leading 21st start of the year.
Edinson Volquez is a guy they can trust, especially in the early innings, if he can keep the ball in the yard and keep them off the board. He's got excellent stuff. He's been a reliable starter this year for him, but you know, he's got to be able to help this team capture the series.
And he knows he has a solid defense behind him. It is brought to you by Ford.
There it is. There he is. Drew Butera getting an opportunity to play again. This guy plays once a week, but believe me, this year he has stepped it up. Butera's hitting over 300. All the extra base hits he's gotten. And by the way, he does put down the right signs and the right fingers, because he's an excellent backstop when it comes to that. But look at that. 11 of his 19 hits has been for extra base hits. I got an all-day call on this guy to lead the hall. He might go deep.
He hasn't had a start since the All-Star break, but he did come on to replace Salvador Perez on Wednesday when the game got out of hand and went 2 for 2 in that contest.
That's right. You know what? This guy, he's on a mission. He is riding high, and hopefully he'll be able to keep Volquez down and keep those Rangers in the park.
The Rangers are still in first place in the American League West by 2.5 games over Houston. The record 56-42. Profar moves to the leadoff spot. Mazzara is hitting second, and then Ian Desmond, who has become a real clutch player for them. Our umpires behind home plate is the crew chief Eric Cooper, Jim Wolf, veteran at first base, Adrian Johnson second, Chad Fairchild is at third. The Royals right now 500 team at 48-48. They have not been below 500 since May 15th when they were 18-19. And Volquez's last 4 starts, this comes after that dreadful performance against Houston when he gave up 12 runs in 1+ inning.
Yeah, you know, that statistic right there with runners in scoring position is huge. Able to execute when he has to.
Volquez 8-8 this year. His last start was Monday. That was the one victory over the Cleveland Indians when the Royals had that incredible comeback, down by 2 runs going the 8th inning. They scored 7 times. Profar says he's ready to go. So are we. Royals and Rangers, rubber game of this series. .290 hitter this year, and Profar has not been healthy the whole year. He was recalled from the minor leagues on May 27th, but injuries in 2014 missed all of that year, and last year missed all but 12 games because of a right shoulder problem.
Well, yeah, he's looking to get past all that. I mean, those injuries were unbelievable. Missing a whole season, you know, and being one of their top prospects. This kid's going to be a big leaguer, and he's wanted by a lot of other clubs.
Pulls it to the right side. Kendrys Morales gives it up to Volquez, who gets there just in front of Profar.
I liked how Morales laid back and he picked that. His hands are very soft. He works. Watch him. Good position to start. Takes over and watch him just trust those hands. Going to come up with it. Got a nice big glove over there. Good feed. When you follow that feed, look at Morales. See how he ran all the way through the line? When you follow the feed, it stays straighter and truer. He's a good first baseman.
So Hosmer will get part of the afternoon off as he is the designated hitter today. But how about Volquez's pitch breakdown?
Yes, he's got 2 variations with the fastball. The 2-seamer, it's a runner. I mean, it has a lot of downward lateral movement. His curve is down, changeup down. Whenever those pitches are all working, he's tough to square up. Especially you see the opponent is average with that changeup.
190 batting average, and 37 of his 91 strikeouts have come on that off-speed pitch. Here is Mazzara. Terrific game last night with 3 hits, a double, a home run. Volquez gets him down. He's just 21 years old, out of the Dominican Republic. That's back up the middle. Escobar had him play perfectly. Low throw, but in time, 2 out.
Whew, man. Volquez is saying, man, today must be my day, because that had me written all over it. And how to get by him, I don't know. Let's take a look at it. Woohoo! That was a hot one. Now Escobar, once he got his feet lined up to first base, he realized that Mazzara can run. He says, I'm going to put something on this throw.
Yeah, he got out of that box awfully quickly. Here is Desmond, the guy they signed during spring training from the Washington Nationals, who were not able to wrap him up in a deal. And this is a guy who's always shown very good power. 18 home runs this year. That's just 1 fewer than he had all of last year with the Nationals.
He's playing. He's on a mission. Desmond. You know, he left some guaranteed money out there, that's for sure. But you know what, though? Sometimes you make those decisions and you got to move past them. He's coming in here with the Rangers saying, I'm going to play some center field. He's a well-rounded athlete. He can play short for any team in the big leagues. This guy's got extreme value.
And it tells you the athlete he is, going from shortstop to center field in the big leagues.
Better believe it.
Started the year in left.
He's got a good arm, but he's dangerous. He doesn't get cheated. Except for that one. Off-speed pitch fooled him.
Yeah, you usually see him take a healthy rip. He has struck out 101 times this year. 3 times in this series.
Well, the way he looked at that one, why not go back to the change?
Volquez comes inside with the fastball at 94 miles an hour.
Yep. That's to set up the next breaking pitch. When you're ahead of a hitter like that, you have a chance to set guys up. You can set him up, get him looking in, maybe throw the hook or the changeup coming here.
He reached for that one. Volquez sees Escobar charge and get there in time, and a 1-2-3 inning with 3 groundouts on that sinker, curveball, changeup combination.
Got out of the first.
At home this year. Alcides Escobar will be leading things up, then Cheslor Cuthbert, and then Eric Hosmer. Kendrys Morales will be playing first base today with Haas, the designated hitter. And on the mound is 28-year-old right-hander A.J. Griffin. 2016 is his first year in the major leagues. Since 2013 with Oakland, he's had Tommy John surgery, right shoulder problems, but he's healthy, and when he is healthy, Rex, he's a very capable starting pitcher.
Sure enough, but look at those walks. 24 walks in 57 innings. That's a high number. Could be a test for the free swinging Royals. That big slow curveball, that's one of his best pitches.
65 miles an hour on that curve.
Yep, he's not an overpowering pitcher at all. He might max out velocity, maybe 90.
So Esky says, I'll bunt.
Yeah, but Profar was waiting for him.
Yep, he was right about 3 to 4 feet down the infield grass.
Yeah, he was waiting for it. And you know, this is a good bunting pitcher, not overpowering. A lot of stuff moves down. You can bunt those guys, get that ball on the ground. Profar, the Rangers defense, no wonder this guy's a hot commodity. He can play anywhere for you, and I'm sure he can play outfield too, like Desmond. Switch hitter, young, he's a player.
Yu Darvish on Friday exploited the Royals' aggressiveness. Cole Hamels did it last night. They were able to beat Darvish, but they did not beat Hamels. Must they be patient against this guy?
No, most guys, like Hamels, Darvish, all live in the lower part of the strike zone. So you want to see that guy up. Here, you want to see him down. This guy, where AJ, he throws those high curveballs at the top of the strike zone. And he pitches up, so you got to get him down. So it's interesting contrast of pitching styles the Rangers have thrown at the Royals. Two of their best in the first two. They got to split, and then they got to mop this guy up. There it is again. You could start looking for that pitch early. They already are well scouted. The Royals are. They've watched his video. They know that high fastball is coming. You can look for it and ambush it.
Here's the Academy leaderboard. Cheslor Cuthbert, the longest hit streak in the American League at 12 games, 18 for 43 in this stretch.
There'll be some Royals looking for that slow curve. I can guarantee it, especially as it goes through the first, second, third time if he makes it that far.
How about Alex Gordon, who's 5 for 5 in his career off of the right-hander? Well, Cuthbert hit it sharply right at the left fielder to Shields, and 2 out.
Hey, there you go. I mean, the high curveballs are dangerous, so he's living on a dangerous edge there, throwing those curveballs up in the zone. First, second, third time through. That's interesting. The third time, usually that's the time when the numbers are the highest. So get him, that second time through, they've been able to figure him out.
But remember, he's had only 11 starts and hasn't made it that deep, so he hasn't seen many opponents the third time through.
Fastball, slider, curve, and a change. It's a guy you really have to wait on.
Royals really need to get Hosmer going. Just had the infield single last night in that 9th inning. 4 for 19 on this homestand, and his batting average dipping below 300.
Ooh, that slider was very flat. Stayed in the zone a long time.
2-1. AJ's last start did not factor into the decision. A loss to the Angels on Monday. Gave up 5 runs though and 3 walks in 5 innings. This time he works that fastball in on the hands of Hosmer.
And that's where everybody's been pitching Hos. You want to pitch him inside because his arms are so long, and he's able to reach those middle away pitches and get extended on him. You got to tie him up.
Same pitch, only the same location, I should say. That last one was that slider. That time he had to wait for the curveball.
Now you don't want to pass up Griffin's fastball because it's 87. That's a good hitting speed. But I'm telling you, guys are going to start looking for that one right there, that slow breaker.
Picked off by the second baseman, and Odor throws out Hosmer. The Royals are out 1-2-3 in their half of the first.
Odor has some skills.
No score here at Kauffman Stadium as Edinson Volquez is back on the hill going up against the team that he came up with. I had a chance to talk with Chris Young today, who was on the Texas Rangers team as a young guy when Edinson Volquez was called up. And he says, I just remember a lot of talent, but it was a veteran team with guys like Kenny Rogers, Doug Brocail, Michael Young, Mark DeRosa, Mark Teixeira. And he said all of us, including Edinson Volquez, were just trying to find their way, almost walking on eggshells, not sure if we belonged or not. Obviously, now a very experienced veteran pitcher is Edinson Volquez. Chris Young said one difference, he had a lot more hair back then, guys.
Did he ever? Pitched 3 years for Texas, 2005 through 7, but had an ERA over 7. And then he was traded in 2007 after the season to Cincinnati for Josh Hamilton.
And now he's a world champion. And what he went through last year with his father, was that in 14?
No, that was last year.
Last year, unbelievable.
That was game 1 of the World Series.
Yeah.
Escobar throws out Beltre, so 4 ground outs for Edinson Volquez, and that was game 1 of the World Series, and he was unaware that his father had passed, and he went home. They told him right after the ball game. He immediately flew back to the Dominican Republic, but came back to the Royals in time to pitch game 5 of the World Series, start that. That was the clinching game.
And you know, that's when we have the opportunity as broadcasters to sit in the stands with our family in postseason. It was really fun the last 2 years, and I remember sitting up there and there were people on their phones saying, I wonder if they told Volquez. So people were on pins and needles about the news of his father's passing, and it was interesting to hear the crowd be in the stands, which was a blast, by the way. Loved being up there.
Rougned Odor with the 1-1 pitch, and he lines it softly to left field for a base hit. First base runner for either team. Now Elvis Andrus, 321 hitter in the month of July, that's seen his average raised to 291. The way Volquez working down in the strike zone, if he can get a ground ball, he could get 2 outs on 1 pitch.
Yep, that would be the 11th ground ball double play that Volquez has induced, if he can get Andrus to cooperate. Andrus 2 for 6 in his career off of Volquez.
Odor goes, pitch is fouled off.
I like that little hit and run action by Jeff Bannister, and mainly because I'm sure he's stat worthy. You know, the skipper knows all the numbers, but Andrus has grounded into 12 double plays this year. That's the team high, along with Prince Fielder.
This time he does not go, and the bunt is down. Volquez only play first base. 2 out.
That'll go down as a sac bunt. If he wanted more, he'd have put that down the third base line. He might have had a shot at a base hit too. Volquez, though, I like how Edinson didn't panic on that. You know, didn't get greedy and say, I'm going to get the out at second. He just took the out. Outs are a premium. You got 2 now. He can make a pitch and get out of it. We talked about Edinson Volquez's numbers with runners in scoring position over his last 4 starts, just 158.
Here is Mitch Moreland, 0 for 4 in this series with a walk.
That could have easily turned had he got up underneath that ball in game 1 and that pinch hit opportunity, and he had topspin on it. He lined it to Paulo deep. If he gets under that, that's a 3-run bomb.
Yeah, that was in the 7th inning off Hochaver.
Right. It was one heck of an at-bat.
Did not go. 2 balls, no strikes. Yeah, Mitch with excellent power, 13 home runs this year.
Yeah, that would have changed the whole game. Fortunately for the Royals, it did not leave the ballpark.
Not much wind today. It's another hot afternoon in the city. Was thinking about pulling the trigger, did not. Both of these teams very aggressive. Texas 13th in walks in the American League. 15 teams. The Royals are last. And he walks Moreland on 4 pitches. So it may look like he wanted to face Robinson Chirinos over Mitch Moreland.
Yeah, and that's a smart veteran move there.
Robinson just a .205 hitter, 8 home runs, and all 8 of them on the road.
You know, I failed to say the numbers on Mitch Moreland against Volquez. 2 for 3, just 2 for 3, but one of those is a home run, and obviously Volquez remembers that, so that's why he carefully pitched around Moreland. Robinson Chirinos just 1 for 5 in his career off of Edison.
Hit well left field. Gordon back and makes the catch.
Wow, great jump on contact. That ball was hit well. That saved 2 runs. Now you want to know why the Royals are plus 30 defensive run saves, second best in the American League? This is why. We got great defenders. A platinum glove winner.
No score, bottom of the 2nd inning. Kendrys Morales, Alex Gordon, Paulo Orlando for the Royals. Morales gets the start at first base today. And like most teams, you'll see 3 infielders on the right side for Kendrys with no one on base.
Yeah, you know, it's up to Morales to change that, and he has the ability to go to the opposite field. We've seen him just pick a pitch away and just go with it, get on base. But with Griffin, that slow curve, something tells me he wants to belly up to that dish and look for something out over and pull it.
Griffin falling behind 3-0. You talked about his 24 walks this year in only 57 innings.
Yeah. Eyeball him. Take a swing if you want. Nope. Oh, it's off the dish. You want the one right down the middle on that 3-0.
Well, it's the wrong guy to walk in front of this man, Alex Gordon. When you take a look at the key in the driver's seat numbers, Alex Gordon is very comfortable 5 for 5 with a home run and a walk off of the Texas right-hander.
Yep. Look, when you're on a roll against a guy like this, you don't even think. You just go up there and react. You know you're going to get him.
Strike one. Strike two. We've had that heat indexed over 100 for every single game on this homestand. It has been draining. The Royals taking a lot of their batting practice inside. Certainly that was the case this morning. We had a Van Johnson game before the contest. 1 ball 2 strikes. A little bit low. Down the right field line. That's a fair ball. Morales will head to third base. He will be held there, and Gordo 6 for 6 off A.J. Griffin.
Ninth double, and just like I said, when you own a guy like that, you know you're going to hit him. And there's a high curve. I'm telling you, they're going to jump all over that curve today. And Alex is living right. That ball right on the chop. This is a starter the Royals know they can get to. And in order to get where they want this summer to postseason, they're going to have to beat pitchers like this.
And if you take a look at our Kubota power stats, the right guy is up in this situation for the Royals. Paulo Orlando, very, very good with runners in scoring position at .373 this year. And he's been hot, 5 for 7 in this series. Waited on that breaking ball, but fouled it off. Griffin looks like a power pitcher at 6'5", 230, but is not.
Paulo's approach, stay up the middle just like he always has. Middle right side. And then react in. You see how Griffin, they're trying to pitch him inside. Because they know his spray chart, where he hits the ball and where he gets his hits. All of them, almost all of them, to center field and right. But that hanging curve you got to keep in the back of your mind. It's been since May when Boston was in town, since Paulo hit a homer there. He's trying to guide that over to right field.
And he's a tough guy to defend.
Yeah, so you know what? You have to play him straight up. No shift's going to work. If anything, I would bunch him in the middle. There you go. I mean, I would squeeze the shortstop and second baseman up the middle more, because that's just where he gets his hits. And in order to have that amount of hits.
Oh, and then he went upstairs at 86 miles an hour.
good
and Orlando
pitch.
strikes out.
Yeah, that was a good pitch by Griffin. I mean, that surprised him. That's the shock factor. That pitch, you know, you're looking for something firm, but you know, when it's up that way, there's just no chance to hit it and square it up.
Whit Merrifield had an RBI single in the 3-1 Royals victory on Friday.
Whit, it was 17 ribbies. He'd like to get 18 or 19 here, maybe 20 with a 3-run bomb. My math is not that good, Fizz, but you had 3 to 17. That's 20.
Good job. You get an A+ today.
Thank you. And you know what, Whit, he can do it. He's got a couple of bombs, but look, I think he'll just be happy with a lousy single somewhere.
We still have 7 innings to go, so I can't give you a final grade yet.
Okay.
We got a midterm report in the 5th.
All right. It'll look a lot better. Get Volquez some runs.
Oh, and then he chased a off-speed pitch down and away.
These are moments and opportunities that you have to be able to come through on. Especially nobody out, 2nd and 3rd.
To the shortstop. They're going to come home. Morales with the slide is out.
What a smart play by Andrus, the veteran shortstop. He knew exactly who was running. You don't see that play that often. But when your head's up and you know the runners and you know you have a chance to nail him at home, that's a smart play. I mean, look where the throw was. On the 3rd base side of the plate. Made it easy for Chirinos.
So the Royals with a golden opportunity. Runners 2nd and 3rd, nobody out. Orlando has struck out Merrifield. Reaches on the fielder's choice, but Morales out at the plate. Now it's Drew Butera. Drew did play on Wednesday. We told you about that. Had a couple of hits.
Mazzara in right field has a good arm. Got 6 outfield assists. Ian Desmond has 6 in center. They are pretty deep.
1-1.
Butera's been getting those extra base hits because he's shortening up, choking up on the bat, shortening his swing, and going with pitches. He's hit him to right center, and he's hit a few left center.
Knocks another one foul.
And he's shooting for that direction. He's able to lay off of it. It was a slow one. That's not the one he wants. Look at that. I mean, it looks like he's all over the side of the baseball. That curveball starts out at the letters. It's going to be a ball down below the zone. Starts out around your head. That's the hanger. That's the one you want to hit out of the park. Ah, that one right there.
But he pops it up. Second baseman Odor. The Royals with a 2nd, 3rd, no out situation. Do not score.
Oh, there it is. Starts out around your neck.
birthday, sis. It's my sister's birthday,
Really?
Beth, as well.
Hey, well, that's Dana Hicks right there.
All right.
And her husband, John, sitting in front. Dana, happy birthday to you. John, you way out-punted your coverage. Wow. Thanks for coming, Dana. Hope you can bring him a win and a series win.
We start the third inning. Volquez facing the number 9 batter, Delino DeShields.
Tough break. They couldn't get Edison. Couldn't scratch a run across the plate. I think there was some pretty good defense there, though, especially not giving the run away by Andrus. Just said, you know what? I'm going to get him at home.
DeShields, who had a fine year last year with Texas hitting .261 and 25 stolen bases. Really an up and down year, and spent a lot of it down at AAA.
Yeah, so I asked him, what's the difference between this year and last year? Last year, he had a nice breakout season. He said, I changed my approach. I tried to drive the ball further. I wanted to hit for some power. Yeah. And
Speed guy.
That messed him up. That's what happened. I mean, you know, hit a few dingers in spring training. Now all of a sudden he says, oh, I could become a guy with some power.
Yeah, his dad spent 13 years in the big leagues and also is the AAA manager for Louisville. You think he'd say, son, don't change a thing.
You would think, but you know how sons listen to their dads.
Yeah, that's true.
Kidding me?
Now the 3-2 pitch, and it's a check swing that missed outside. Not the guy you want to walk with his speed. Second walk for Volquez.
Get closer to the action of the K with our Royals Memories program. Choose between a variety of unique opportunities such as photos on the field, watching batting practice, and delivering the game ball. All experiences are available for purchase each game exclusively through the MLB.com Ballpark app. Download the Ballpark app, pick up grades, and select a once-in-a-lifetime experience you'll cherish forever. Take some BP.
DeShields goes in the first pitch. Throw by Butera. Safe.
Butera's thrown out 2 out of 8 base stealers this year. Just missed there. Good takeaway. Good jump. Did he stay on? Yep, stayed on the base.
So now a runner in scoring position for Profar. Jerickson 0 for his last 18. Grounded out to Morales first time up.
Well, he has been extremely productive, though, hitting .357 with runners in scoring position. Talked about the Rangers' arms. Well, the Royals have they're well loaded as well. And, you know, Dyson has 7 outfield assists in center. Gordon has 4. Paulo has 2. But it's going to have to be a ball hit really hard right at one of them if they're going to throw DeShields out.
Well, they changed their signs with a runner at second base, and so Butera wanted to make sure that he and Eddie on the same page. Royals having a rough time in the month of July, just 6 and 12 this month, averaging less than 4 runs per game. In there. He went.
That's right. Edison stayed inside on him. That's how you pitch him. And you can see that angle there. Yep, bat head crossed the plate. Profar, you got to go.
That's a big strikeout for Eddie. He has 92 this year and just over 120 innings, now facing Mazzara, who has upped his stock recently, went through a little bit of a downslide, but now has 8 hits in his last 18 at bats.
No, I guarantee you, Volquez, if he wanted to, he could have a lot of strikeouts. I mean, he could have way more strikeouts than that. But he says it's too hard to work. I got to expend too many pitches to strike guys out. I'd rather, it's all about outs. It's not about my ego. I'm all pitch to contact, down in the zone, use that tremendous defense. And that's the kind of pitcher I am.
A Ray Searage of Pittsburgh got him back to that 2-seam fastball, and he was able to last longer into games, 6-7 innings with the Pirates. Two years ago, won 13 games for the Bucks and won 13 again last year for Kansas City with a 3.5 ERA. Good pitch there. And just a reminder, as you enjoy a cold one, look forward to Miller Time later in this afternoon's game, brought to you by Miller Lite. Kendra's called time and going out for a visit to Volquez. He may have noticed something.
Yeah, now he's going to call out Butera, but Morales is probably saying, hey, there's a guy in scoring position. Don't let him get a hit.
You think he called timeout, ran all the way to the pitcher's mound, touched the rosin bag, but really was about discussing.
Let's just keep it simple. That's what it is. But, you know, unless you're out there, you just have no idea. But I'll tell you what, Butera said, we got to do something here. It's a big part of the game here. Runner in scoring position. Let's execute away. Stay away unless you're going to come way in on him. He's got good pull power.
Ooh, barely foul.
Maybe Morales said, make him hit it to me. I'm very trustworthy with my glove over there. I want to make a highlight tape. And he almost got one right here.
Yeah, I like your first choice of going away.
Yeah.
Soft.
Or you can stay firm. He got that last strike by him there, going firmly.
But he gets a lot of strikeouts on that changeup, particularly to left-handed batters.
Off the plate, away.
Nope. Came with the fastball down and in. Will that be a setup pitch? You can see his last 5 starts has gone very well. 3 for 21 with runners in scoring position. And that was after that awful start against Houston where he couldn't command anything. He's been very solid ever since.
A lot of cat and mouse going on right here, I'll say.
Really slowed things down.
Yeah, in the meantime, take a look at the Royals defense out there. Guys are taking their hats off, wiping the sweat, looking around on their hands and knees. You know, this is the kind of inning here that wears your defense out. Look at this. And now look at the outfielders. Check them out. Dyson turned to Gordon. Gordon looked at Dyson. Paulo said, really? The heat index is 106 out here today.
Well, he popped him up. Right center field. Long run for Paulo. Won't get there.
big, strong, young hitter hits a ball like that on a day like today, those outfielders are taking 2 steps back before they even see where that ball's coming. They're thinking he's going to hit it a lot harder, and that's what happened. Nobody took charge. You could tell. Now Dyson, he was playing right center. This ball went up. See, Dyson took 2 steps back, and by the time he started in, there's no chance. Paula was just coming in like gangbusters. Now it's time to put Ian Desmond in the lane.
Volquez's rhythm, his pace has been almost excruciatingly slow.
And it hurts the defense.
Strike 1.
I'm telling you, guys, you know, they start daydreaming at times. They're only human. Desmond has grounded into just 5 double plays this year. Pretty good hitter with a runner in scoring position. Wrist.
Advantage Volquez 0-2. This is just Eddie's 3rd start this year with Drew Butera. Drew trying to think along with Volquez, and Volquez is his own mind made up. Now with no one on second base, they can go back to the original signs. Oh, a 6, a 4, and a 3. Nicely done.
All of that drama in that inning for that, and it's a beautiful thing. Roll them over. A little ham and eggs on a Sunday afternoon at the K. Oh yeah, that's working.
Is sitting in the Buck O'Neil legacy seat, using his goal to run a marathon in all 50 states as a platform. Steve of Topeka started an initiative called Running For to raise awareness for the angels, fighters, and survivors of cancer. In addition to raising over $16,000 for various cancer charities, the Running For mission also includes delivering meals to families who are undergoing cancer treatments. Way to go, Steve.
Thank you for helping others.
Your buddy who's from Topeka and struggling with cancer,
Ryan Ramshaw?
Yeah, he's doing great.
Are you kidding?
He came up in the booth the other night.
And we're so proud of him and his fight. It's the entire family. You know, they all, when you have a member of your family who's sick, that's a fight the whole family endures. They've done a great job. Hang in there, folks. Especially you folks that might be in the hospital watching the game today. Look, these Royal players, they care about you.
Dyson with a 2-1 count. They get 3-1. Royals would love to get a speed guy on to lead off the third inning. And after Gerard pops it up.
Tester, watch out.
Dropped the ball. Boy, that was right up in the sun, and Profar was fighting it the whole way.
Saw it coming.
Yes, he did.
He's in trouble.
No play, they're saying.
Yeah, really, that's a smart official score right there, because look, that is a scary feeling when you want a big out for your pitcher and you can't get it, you can't see it. He did a great job of getting a glove on it.
Yeah, when you see those shadows directly under the feet on a pop-up.
Yeah, but
like
here's the degree of difficulty. Running fast, trying to block the sun. Your head's bobbing and moving. That's what Profar did a good job on that. He almost made a heck of a catch. Now let's see if Dyson can make it hurt. Base hit, ball 4. Ooh. Oh.
Strikeout number 2 for Griffin.
Too close to take.
Vote for the Royals Player of the Month at one of the 7 Rally House locations in the Kansas City metro area. All participants will be entered to win a majestic prize pack. 0-0 score here on a Sunday afternoon. The Royals won on Friday 3-1. Duffy over Darvish. Lost 7-3 yesterday. That was Hamels over Ventura. Kansas City has gone 23 days between back-to-back wins.
That's not like them.
No.
But it's about starting pitching. Got to get some good starts out of these guys, and they'll be fine. The offense, you know, they're scoring just enough.
$11 times in this month of July they've scored 3 or fewer runs. And there's a line drive base hit in the gap right center.
Nice swing here. Little 4-seam fastball, outer half. Went with it. Look at the head position. Liked it. Stayed right to it. Eske head down. Good follow through. Routine single.
The Royals have had 3 solid hits in this inning. One by Escobar there, the double by Gordon, and a line out by the guy at the plate, Chesley Cuthbert. Takes ball 1. This is the longest hit streak by a Royal rookie since Mike Moustakas put together a 15-game hit streak in 2011. Cuthbert at 12 straight.
Take a look at Griffin's splits. Lefties and righties. Look at that, 198 against righties, only 1 homer. Now that was pretty much done in the very beginning of the season. But he's been mediocre ever since. It's still interesting how he's dealt on righties.
How does the curveball more effective to right-handers? They're only hitting 130 on that curve.
It is. It has a little break that's going away from him, and of course easier to hit a pitch coming in than going away. But he's getting a lot of outs with that pitch on righties.
That one's another line drive directly at the left fielder. So 2 line outs to DeShields by Cuthbert.
Cuthbert's getting closer. I mean, that's right down the middle at 88 miles an hour.
Squared it up.
Hit it off the end. He didn't really barrel it, but he just got to get up underneath it, get a little backspin. Backspin allows the ball to carry.
So now they'll deal with a lefty swinger, Eric Hosmer, grounded out to second base, first time up. Eric just one home run since that game he had in Chicago against Chris Sale. He had 2 home runs off that tough lefty Sale. He had an opposite field home run in the All-Star game when it was the American League All-Star MVP.
2 outs. Rangers outfield playing no doubles. They are all the way backs against the wall. Now, if Haas can get a hold of one and pull one down the right field line, he could score Escobar. See where they're all playing on the base of the wall out there. Any gappers they can get to quickly so Escobar can't score. But if he pulls one, Mazzara, he's playing towards center field.
Being very careful with Hosmer, even though you've got the switch hitter Kendrys Morales on deck.
Haas doesn't have to take him to the hydration station. Hey, that's what he calls the fountains. He could go to the opposite field.
Wouldn't mind seeing it though. Barely did graze the outside corner, threw him a 3-1 slider.
If he throws it 3-1, he'll throw it 3-2. Moreland's staying close to Escobar. He knows he'll be leaving on the pitch.
Swung on and missed on a changeup. The Royals have left 3. And he is the subject of our University of Kansas Hospital injury report. Got one on the ribs, a contusion. He is expected to make his next start.
Ooh, yeah. Glad there wasn't a broken rib, because that could really set you back.
And this entire staff back, because the Royals have struggled this year with their starting rotation. Danny Duffy has been their best and most consistent starter, and at the beginning of the year Danny was in the bullpen. Much was expected of that young man, but Ventura with 6 wins, 8 losses, and an ERA just a tick under 5. Beltre will lead it off. He's the designated hitter today. Love that little tap dance he does on the close ones.
Yep, he's got balance. That's what that is. Great feet.
In there, strike 3 called as Volquez got him with the changeup on the inside corner, and Beltre will complain. Our Missouri Lottery Fox tracks, we'll see.
That might have been off the plate a little bit, but sometimes it's too close to take. I'm sorry, Adrian, you got to go.
Now Odor who has one of the 2 Texas hits this afternoon, the other by Mazzara, both coming by left-handers.
This young man's an extreme talent. So when he broke in a couple years ago, he just looked dynamic. You know, he's the kind of hitter that has flash. You know, he's got that pizzazz about him. He's an entertainer.
Big swing for a little guy.
Sure does. This game is not about size. Physically, it's about the size of your heart.
Yeah, the leading MVP, I think, first half of the season in the American League might be the smallest guy, 5'5" Jose Altuve, who's having a fantastic year for Houston. And last time I checked, Houston was up 9-1 in the 3rd inning over the Angels. And Houston charging, breathing down the necks of Texas for first in the West. Altuve leading the American League in batting at .357. Meantime, Baltimore leading Cleveland 3-2 in the 6th. Cleveland has a 8-game lead over KC.
All right. Besides that, he's got a good right cross. Check it out. Here it comes. He hit it well. Oh, he hit it, and then he went short right to the point. Got a little glove hand on the top there. Look, when it's on, it's on. You better be short with your punches or you won't connect, because you end up at the bottom of the pile in those baseball brawls. I know. I've been there a lot on the bottom. You can't move. I remember I was on top of Mike LaValliere one time in Pittsburgh at the bottom of the pile. 10 guys on top of us, and he's screaming, my shoulder, ow, ow. And I said, what am I supposed to do? I can't move either. Take it and like it.
I know your favorite bottom of the pile story. One involves Buck Showalter, the manager of the Baltimore Orioles.
I couldn't move. All I could see was between a player's legs, and I saw Buck's head get slammed. A pitcher hit him in the head with his closed fist, broke his knuckles. Showalter, we get out of that pile. I said, man, I saw your head. You get hit? He goes, yeah, look at this knot, Hud. He had a knot about 3 inches on the back of his head.
Elvis Andrus, with 1 out, sacrifices last time up. Volquez got out of a jam with a nifty 6-4-3 double play in the last inning. And they try to hit and run with this combination. Last time up, Odor breaking from first base. Andrus fouled it off. Next pitch, then he sacrificed.
These are his action guys. You got a guy like Andrus there. He could put the ball in play, hit the ball to the opposite field. Very solid player.
Through the whole left side, base hit. So first and second, Alex Gordon was winding up when Odor turned sharply around second, then said, oh yeah, I forgot Gordon's out there.
Alex was just holding on to that ball, looking at him going, I dare you to go.
Go, please.
Exactly. Okay, now there was a bag open last time Moreland was up, but not this time. So Volquez is going to have to concentrate on getting this left-handed slugger.
He hit his 100th career home run on Monday against the Angels. Here are the numbers you talked about. 2 for 3 with a home run. First big moment of this game. Not really the second. He had first and third last inning. And Desmond hit into a 6-4-3 inning-ending double play. One has to wonder if they'll be able to hold off the charging Houston Astros, who are a healthy team. Meantime, the Rangers have like 9 guys in the disabled list, and good ones like starting pitchers Colby Lewis and Derek Holland, outfielder Shin Nasu Chu, former All-Star Prince Fielder, and Josh Hamilton, a former MVP. Morales will make the play at first. The runners will advance, but 2 out. So Volquez has had some taxing innings. He had a 1-2-3 first, and since that time, a single, a walk in the second, a walk and a single in the third, and now a walk and a single in the fourth. And he has to face Robinson Chirinos, who had runners in scoring position last time up and hit it sharply, but Gordon, with a great break, was able to make the catch at the track. Strike 1.
Chirinos, he's looking to pull. Got him a good pitch there. He can handle it. He just couldn't put a swing on it. Good location. In off the plate.
Odor at third. Andrus at second. He likes the ball in the way he's pulling it. Volquez has a lot of options.
Nothing too good, whatever you do. Bury the breaker.
Well, he went with the off speed again.
Change up. It's okay. That ball was down. Wow, these meetings are wearing the Royals defenders out. But you know what? Runners at second and third. No score in this one. It's a pretty important part of the game.
Chirinos sharing that catching role now with Bobby Wilson, who got the start on Friday. Wow. Steve Physiak, Rex Hudler, Joe Goldberg, Jeff Montgomery on a hot afternoon in Kansas City. Temperature at 97 degrees, and the heat index has hit 108.8. But as you talked about, not only the discussions between Volquez and Butera, but the time on the field by the Royals defense. Well, it was the right discussion, Hud. A swing and a miss and a strikeout.
It was worth it. See if the Royals can find a way second time through to get to Griffin.
Morales, Gordon, and Orlando coming up. to you by the all-new 2017 Chrysler Pacifica. No, that's not for rain. It's for the unbearable sun. Heat index at 108.
Well, let's start looking back down a little bit next week, I heard.
Yeah, I understand the cool spell's coming in tomorrow. So come on out to the K. We've got 3 wonderful games for you. Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. All of them night games against the Angels. Kennedy and Santiago going tomorrow. A.J. Griffin. He had 1 easy inning. That was the first. Had trouble in the second, but the Royals did not score, and then gave up a 1-out single to Escobar in the third, and now it's Morales to lead things off, who walked on 4 pitches to open the second. And he hasn't seen a strike yet. Morales 2 for 7 in his career against the Rangers right-hander. Griffin out of the San Diego area, 13th round pick by the A's in 2010 out of the University of San Diego. Finally, he throws a strike to Morales, who pounds it back to the screen. He was all West Coast Conference all 4 years. Royals first round pick, or I say first pick this year, the second round, A.J. Puckett out of a West Coast Conference school, Pepperdine. He has started well in the Kansas City system. Now 28 years young. 3-2.
Good rip. Got to wait on him. They're convinced Morales is going to pull the ball. Hope he does. And pulls it over every one of them.
Pretty good, Hut. There's a drive. That's deep. And gone. Good call. But no pull.
Don't matter. 1-0.
There you go.
He waited him out. He was patient. He'd let the ball come to him. The way that ball's carrying here, oh man, he's dangerous to all parts. Look at Chirinos looking for it out right where he wanted it. But when Morales took a nice easy swing and got the back underside and got some backspin, that ball was not walking.
16th home run for Kendris, and the Royals take the early 1-0 lead. Now Alex Gordon, who doubled his first time up. Gordon pops up to third, and there's 1 out. Salvi's taking care of the air conditioning today in that dugout.
Yeah, come on. Hey, you know, Salvi's always doing something to help his team, whether he's in there or he's not. He is a big part of it. Marcus with that cold water on the back of his head there.
Welcome relief on a hot day like we've had recently in Kansas City.
Nothing better than an ammonia water bath. Put those towels in that ice bucket, and there's ammonia in it. And so they kind of wring the towel out a little bit and set it over your head. The trainer's always servicing you. And man, oh, feels good. The smells good too. Cleans out the system. Missed it. Chester.
Finally, the center fielder Desmond gets there to make the catch on Orlando's high pop-up. Oh yeah.
Now, of course, that wouldn't be too bad right there.
That's post-game, brother. granddaughter Taylor Blickley and get her one of those. She's in town visiting Stacy and I.
Take her. Merrifield, good idea with the bunt, but Profar, man, he is in on the line on the shot. Coming in there. If I'm going to bunt, I might try to go to first base. Even though it's a little easier to drag bunt down third against a righty. Right-handers usually fall towards the first base line. After their delivery.
The Royals are 35-11 this year when they score first, and they have scored first in the home run by Morales here in the fourth. Pop this one up to right field. Mazzara. That will do it for the Royals, but Kendrys Morales belts his 16th home run of the year.
Camo! Hold that ball. Got to go. Beautiful hit.
The Texas Rangers are Panera Bread look is about what took place with the Chicago White Sox yesterday. Chris Sale scratched from last night's start after reportedly destroying throwback jersey. What's that all about?
I don't know, but the White Sox suspended him for 5 games, 5 days. And, you know, sometimes it gets to your head how good you are. Okay?
Why are you carrying scissors?
But then once you take it a step beyond your duties and you start messing with the organization stuff, their jerseys, and you go out there and you start taking it, you're in trouble. Insubordination. You're suspended. Guys get a little bit, their egos get a little too big, Fizz. You know what? Look, you're just one of the other guys. You're just one of them. Just because you're Chris Sale doesn't mean you could take that opportunity and destroy uniforms and cut them all up with scissors.
That's why the Royals have had such great success the last 2 years. It's all about we rather than me.
Exactly. It's tired.
DeShields walked his first time up, has a 2-1 count now. In there, 2-2. Young players from the Outlaws.
Uh-oh.
Hit well, left field. Gordon back off the base of the wall. He played it beautifully, but DeShields too quick is at second base with a double.
Well, that ball Volquez was doing some talking to that baseball, saying stay in here, because when he hit it, it looked and sounded like he was going to get it. Now look where that pitch was. That ball was four inches on the inside part of the plate. DeShields was able to cover it. Didn't quite have the distance. Watch Alex blow a bubble as he's catching this ball here. He's got extreme skills. Look at that, man. I don't know how he can do that.
Profar's going to bunt him, and Cuthbert will take it. They say it's foul.
Yeah, Cuthbert stood there and went, oh no, I hope it was foul when I touched it. Jeff Bannister has these Texas Rangers with good, fundamentally sound baseball instincts. These guys, they talk about it all the time. Talks about moving runners, you know, and doing little things sometimes. When your offense is sputtering, you got to find ways to be creative and get those runs in. He's got them playing a little small ball, doing some hit and running.
And that's because in his professional experience, he was never the guy, so he had to do all the little things. Jeff Bannister only had one big league at bat.
He's batting 1,000, Fizz.
1 for 1, that one hit off Atlanta's Dan Petrie.
Can you believe that?
One of 91 players to hit 1,000.
91 players in the history have hit 1,000.
Yeah.
1 for 1. It was a pinch hit too.
Never batted again.
Can you believe it? I was shocked to see there were so many guys.
Tom Pachorik's brother John went 3 for 3 and never got a recall to the big leagues. 3 for 3. They haven't gotten you out. You get sent down.
Tom Pachorik. Packy.
He does get it down. Volquez's only play will be first base. The sacrifice executed. Runner at third with 1 out.
Join us tomorrow for Christmas in July. That's right, for a day of holiday cheer and a special visit from Santa. Add to your collection of festive attire with an exclusive ugly holiday sweater, Royals t-shirt, available with the purchase of this themed ticket. Also, be sure to bring a new unwrapped toy for special Toys for Tots drive on the day of the game outside the ballpark. Visit royals.com/theme tickets for more information and to purchase those tickets today. Come on, Halos are in town. Albert Pujols, Trout. Albert's been hot.
Well, if there's a time that Volquez needed a strikeout, it's right now. Runner at third. 1-0 game. Ground ball. Second. Merrifield holds the runner and gets the out. Good play by Witt.
Nothing worse and frustrates you more than a hitter not being able to come through in that situation. Team set it up, leadoff double, sacrifices him over, get him on, get him over, and couldn't get him in. And that's where you want to see DeShields stranded. See if they can get through Desmond.
Opponent's just 154 with runners in scoring position off Volquez in his last 5 starts. They had 2 on in the second, but he got Chirinos to fly out. 2 on, first and third. 1 out in the third. He got the double play.
That's a good pitch. Right where he wants to stay. Use that defense. Just like last time up, he induced. He got Desmond to hit into a double play on a low pitch.
Tough batter with 59 RBIs. 1 fewer than Beltre, who's waiting on deck. Two and 1. DeShields led off with the double. Profar with the sacrifice. Mazara grounded out. To third, Cuthbert. Oh, great pick by Kendrys Morales, or this game is tied.
Silky smooth is Morales. Great pick.
Morales with a home run and also saved the run. That great pick, and Volquez with 5 shutout innings.
Yeah, well, this is where he got him the run. Okay, went with the pitch, high fastball up and away, drove it out for his 16th home run. And after getting some love for that nice home run, Salvi's cooling him down a little bit. Here's where he saves the run. First errant throw I've seen from Cuthbert all year. Watch this, low to high. Keep that glove down low, finish up high. No problem, no sweat. Haas, take another day.
There's that slider at 77 miles an hour. A swing and a miss by Drew Butera. He's 0 for 1 with a pop up to second, his first time up.
Told you how hard it is to play this game at this level, and if you do one good thing that game you had a good game. Okay, just one good thing. But Morales, he's already done 2 good things.
Not done yet.
No.
2 balls, 2 strikes to Butera. Griffin at 77 pitches, just starting his 5th inning on a hot Sunday afternoon in Kansas City.
Just finishing up the 2nd time through the order.
Down that right field line, but it will twist and go foul.
Told you I had an all-day call on Butera now.
Yes, you did.
Yeah, all day. It's going to be on a hanging curve, though. He got one his last time up, and he popped it up to the second baseman. Odor. See, you get the hitter thinking opposite field, or as a hitter, Butero's getting Griffin thinking he's going to the opposite field. Now, if he flips that curveball up there right now, so he's got to be looking for it.
He threw him 1 for a ball down and in earlier in this at bat. 3-2, so he's gone from 0-2 to 3-2.
He can look heater here.
Dyson next. That'll work. A little hair flip. Yep. That was for Sal.
3-2. You know heater's coming. Half your work's cut out, but it's all about the short swing. If you have a long swing, you're trying to hit a homer, you're going to swing and miss or pop it up.
So are you going to have Dyson bunt here?
No, I want Dyson to score him on a double.
Gerard, though, is trying to bunt, but bunts it foul, strike one.
Yep. It's getting late. They need an extra insurance run. Now they're trying to manufacture one, but Gerard Dyson against Griffin, guy, you know, that's a good hitting speed. Once again, I told you, 87 mile an hour is his average fastball. If he leaves it over the middle of the plate, Gerard can do something with that. He could score the run and get a double or a triple. Put himself in scoring position.
He's bunting again, right back to the mound. They go to second base and get the force there.
Ooh. Now Butero went in there awfully hard, and you don't see that anymore. Got Andrus. But, you know, Dyson just not comfortable. Sacrifice bunt. That was the last place he wanted to bunt that ball. Right back to the pitcher. That's why it's just too risky. You take a chance. Sometimes it works, but you know what, though? In that situation there, I believe you should have been swinging. Now Butero's going right into the base. He caught him with his left knee, so he didn't spike him. Pretty fortunate there. You never know. I mean, when you can't take it for granted that the guy's going to slide right past you, even though there's no contact anymore around second base.
You're almost expecting Dyson to go early in the count with Escobar up there. They have a lot of options here. They could hit and run, straight steal. Dyson does not go, and it's inside for a ball. Claudio has started to warm down in the Texas bullpen. He's that soft tossing lefty, but tough on lefties, and I would imagine he's getting ready for Hosmer, Morales, and Gordon.
So Escobar pull that ball down the line for a double. Griffin, he barely comes set. You know, that's almost a borderline balk call. He almost missed with the throw there. That caught Dyson. Barely comes set.
Like Dyson jammed his left arm. He goes. Pitch out. Chirinos. They got him on the overslide. Wow. Golly.
Now, you know, good jump, but we've seen that happen a lot with him. He just has a hard time of starting his slide. It's too late. By the time, you know, you got to start just a little bit sooner. And Andrus there, looked like to me he was blocking the bag with his left foot. It's just too much momentum. Cost you the bag. And a chance to get in scoring position.
Adrian Johnson stay with the play, making sure, and he never ruled safe, and then he realized went by and the tag there and caught stealing. Strike for a 3-1 count. Orioles really were having a tough time in the month of July manufacturing runs. I told you 11 times they have scored 3 or fewer runs in this month, and consequently they've won only 6 games in July.
Escobar with his 16th walk. Salvador Perez and Escobar both competing in that department. Esky with 16, Salvi with 15 walks.
And I'm guessing this will be the final batter that Griffin will face, because Claudio has warmed up in the Texas bullpen, and you've got the left-hander Hosmer, then the switch hitter, then another lefty coming up next. Cuthbert 2 lineouts off Griffin, right at to Shields. And he cracks that one to the third baseman. So 3 lineouts for Cuthbert.
Oh, Fight Club. Go ahead. Oh, way to go.
Denny.
Sixth inning here at the K. Royals hanging on by their fingernails here, 1-0. On behalf of Major League Baseball, we salute all of Cooperstown, New York, on its Hall of Fame weekend and offer congratulations to this year's award winners and to the 2016 National Baseball Hall of Fame inductees and their families. Pretty special day, huh, Den?
Oh boy, you betcha. You betcha.
What's take us through a day there of this special day, since you've experienced that.
Well, there were more people. They said that there were close to 95,000 in the audience, and more of the Hall of Famers. There were some 78 or 79 of the Hall of Famers on that day. And yeah, it's just, I remember talking to George Brett about it. He said it's going to be, there's Piazza, it's going to be 4 of the most memorable days of your life, but 4 of the fastest. He said, try to slow it down as best you can and just soak it all in. So I did my best.
Nice. Well, I brought a surprise for you today. I know how you appreciate baseball bats, and Ken Griffey Jr. gave me this a long time ago when he was new in the league and I was a veteran player. And I thought you want to feel that, man. Wow. Feel how heavy, didn't he? Feel how heavy that bat is.
That is.
I mean, I couldn't get that thing
gosh.
around.
No way.
That's a tree branch.
It really is. It's not an M110.
No.
I like the M110.
Right, you like those
from Louisville. Yeah.
Those have a little more balance to them.
Thin handle, but yeah, it was nicely balanced. That thing feels like a wagon tongue.
It's a little top heavy.
Yeah.
Our T-Mobile greater coverage of baseball is about the Hall of Famers. Denny Matthews, of course, in the Hall of Fame, and Ken Griffey Jr. How about this? The first overall pick to make it in, and then the lowest round pick, Piazza, a 62nd round pick on the same year.
Goes to show you whether you're first or last, if you want to do it, why, stick with it, work hard, get a couple of breaks, and somebody hands you a nice plaque at Cooperstown, New York. Isn't that a great story?
Way to go, Dan.
Piazza and Tom Seaver going in with Mets hats, and Junior going in as the first Mariner. But will Edgar Martinez be the second Mariner? Your thoughts on him going in as a DH? Possibly in the future.
You know how I feel about the DH.
I know.
So now you ask me that question. I'll tell you what, I'm not dodging it.
You respect Edgar Martinez, though.
Oh, absolutely. One of the best hitters I've ever seen. Yeah, I think now the DH has been accepted. I think there's a spot for him. And we're watching a Hall of Famer in this series. That's a guy that plays third base.
Adrian Beltre.
Without a doubt.
He has been remarkable. We talked about his numbers on the radio last night.
There's a shot in the right center gap. That will get Beltry around to third base, and Odor is going to second, and he will be out. Escobar was able to sweep the tag and get him on part of the body. Bannister is furious, and he may challenge this one. I'm not sure if he's more upset that Odor went to second, and it looked like Escobar may have hurt his thumb.
Well, but might have did it on the tag. We'll have to get a replay. Oh, it's his right thumb.
Yeah, I guess the way he landed.
I kept thinking it was his glove hand. But they got plenty of time. Johnson, let's see. Ooh, you know what? That's not good. That is not good. Hopefully he didn't feel a pop or anything, and looks like he's going to try to throw it, see if he can stay in.
But he is such a tough competitor. We've seen him get twisted around at second base where he thought he might be placed in the disabled list, and we'll see him bounce right back up. He loves to play every day, takes great pride in that.
Oh yeah, because you know, whenever you fall down, see that right hand, whenever you plant out there, I did that one time, try to land on your palm, but it didn't. My wrist was turned, and I landed, you know, with my thumb, and it just popped the ligament right off the bone. That easy. Yeah. And no one even knew it. I went back to the dugout, you know, and I tried to hide it, and sure enough, but that next inning, you know, trying to catch the ball, it hurt. I could get away with it when I would hit, but I couldn't catch the ball. I mean, it was a lot of pain.
That's a nasty hyperextension, really, is what it is.
Yeah. Well, they had to do a little dog leg right surgery on my thumb there, but
they did a good job. Nobody would ever know.
No, but you know, I was trying to make the team with the Orioles, and I didn't say anything. And so Frank Robinson, yeah, sure enough, the tag was put on him. Frank Robinson said, "Hey, you better take care of your hands. If you're a baseball player and you don't have your hands, you're in trouble.
Yeah,
get it fixed."
You bet. It's great advice. And yeah, what are you going to do if you're a baseball player and your hand is gone?
Right. You can't use it. You're in trouble. Right.
The ruling from New York is the call stands, and still a little concern about the right thumb of Alcides Escobar.
You could tell it hurt and bit him right away.
Infield in. Elvis Andrus was sacrificed and singled. Volquez has done a great job pitching in the clutch today. He left 2 stranded in the second, 1 in the third, 2 more in the fourth, and 1 in the fifth. He's thrown 87 pitches.
Third time through. Let's see where we stand. That's typical. Third time through, you've had enough chances to see the pitches and stuff, so typically you're going to have a higher average.
To short, Escobar holds the runner and is able to get Elvis at first base. I was really interested to see how Escobar would be delivering that throw to first base after the injury.
He's fine. Okay, here's the question. I asked Ryan this over on radio. Last night, it wasn't that long ago, which team had a lot of scoring opportunities, especially middle of the game? Royals.
Okay.
Who won the game?
Texas.
Today, who has had some glorious scoring opportunities and haven't cashed in?
Rangers.
Who's going to win the game?
Royals.
Boy, it happens a lot.
There's a ground ball into right field that will tie the game. Mitch Moreland with a base hit to right. Volquez did a great job getting the out on Andrus.
That ball, Denny had eyes on it. I mean, you couldn't have rolled it out there any finer between the defense.
And a lot of times after you have many scoring chances and don't cash in, one hit like that could loosen things up for everybody else. But Volquez And even last year, even more so last year, he was a Houdini at getting out of bases loaded, second and third, nobody out, one out. He was amazing. Not quite as effective at that this year, but still pretty good.
Chirinos pops a foul. I'll always remember that performance he had in the ALCS against the Toronto Blue Jays. He threw shutout baseball, but he had base runners almost every single inning and just wiggled his way out of it, saying, oh man, that is clutch pitching.
Those are high stress innings too.
And he's had a number of them in this game. Hochevar warming in the Kansas City pen. Chirinos down the line. Cuthbert, long throw, skips it. Nice play again by Morales. Texas scores to tie it.
Oh man, that's a great play on both ends. Watch Morales, not an easy pick here. Stayed down low and got him out.
Score in the 6th inning is our Sonic Slam inning. Our contestant is Sherry Mabry from Kansas City, Missouri. If the Royals hit a home run in this inning, Sherry, you get $3,000. But if the Royals hit a grand slam, Sherry will win $25,000 from Sonic and the Kansas City Royals. The new pitcher is Alex Claudio as A.J. Griffin goes 5, gives up 1. This is Claudio's 18th game. And Denny, he's so tough on lefties, and they're bringing him on to face Hosmer, Morales, and Gordon here in the 6th.
Yeah, and you don't have to look at numbers to see why he's tough on left-handed hitters. Just look at his mechanics, look at his delivery, how he hides the ball. Yeah, that guy's going to be a handful for lefties.
Ooh, man, especially with that delivery coming up way behind his the hitter's back is where you got to pick up that release point from.
Lefties just 6 for 26 off Claudio this year. There's that funky delivery, and Hosmer with a drive deep to right. Mazzara, though, near the wall, is there to make the catch. 1 out.
One thing about the lefties facing a pitcher like this, watch the right shoulder. If the left-hander's shoulder bails out, he's in trouble. You got to keep your shoulder in against a tough lefty. Hosmer did a pretty decent job of it that time. Now we'll watch Alex when he comes up.
Yep, that's the biggest test. And for right-handed batters, same thing with a guy who throws sidearm from the right side. I mean, it's really hard to not pull off that ball. And when you do, you pull off, you got nothing. Little pop-up or a swing and a miss.
Not much left. Your shoulder comes out.
Right-handers hitting .309 off Claudio. He's appeared in 4 of the last 10 games that Texas has played. Last time up, Morales with a 3-2 count decided to go the opposite way on a fastball.
I remember guys when Hal McRae, John Mayberry were a part of the team, and a tough right-hander was going to pitch against the Royals. And Hal McRae would say to John Mayberry and the other left-hand hitters, he said, "Okay, I don't have much of a chance tonight. It's up to you guys. You guys handle it."
That's right.
Typical Hal McRae.
Yep.
Who's going to drive the bus?
He is so darn honest.
Blunt.
Yep.
To the point.
Claudio. Fastball, big slider, changeup. He's going to throw that changeup to the righties. Morales has already seen one. 83 to 87, not overpowering.
Toyota League leaders show you that the Rangers bullpen has allowed the most home runs this year with 51. They also have the highest ERA. And Morales busts one down that left field line, and into the corner it goes. He'll have himself a one-out double. So he's been on base all 3 times with a walk, a home run, and now a 2-base hit.
And I'll tell you what, that ball looked like a grapefruit up there. It just floated. Now, when you're a right-handed batter and that sidewinder's coming into you, you see him, a little change-up grip there. He left it up, and Morales, couldn't pass on that. Surprised he didn't hit it out of the park, but he didn't get underneath that ball. He got a little backspin. He stayed on the backside of it, but still, a nice little one-out double.
That delivery to a right-handed batter, you see it all the way. And you see it long before it even leaves his hand.
No question. That's why, you're taking a chance if you're a manager, and you're going to bring a lefty in like him that's not overpowering to face some right-handers who could hurt you. This might be his last batter.
Well, they just did start warming up a right-hander, Hud, so I think that's why the pitching coach came out. Here's that delivery you were talking about.
Yeah, I mean, that's big long arm delivery, and you see it even behind his back. I mean, he doesn't hide the ball at all. If you see that shot again, Hud, I mean, you can see that thing all the way.
That's the whole key.
Watch this.
All right.
Now watch. Now you see it. Now you see it. Now you see it. Now you see it. Do you ever not see it?
No.
I mean, you can see that thing long before he turns it loose. Boy, that's great.
It is, and that's the same for a left-handed batter. However, you talked about it. The lefty can see it, but can you keep that shoulder in with that vicious angle? Let's see what Alex does here.
Right shoulder. Key on the right shoulder.
Back up the middle. They've got Morales off second base, and they got him in a rundown. There goes Gordon to second, and he'll make it.
Not a great rundown. They turned it loose a little bit too quick. You got to run him back towards second base, and if you do that, you keep the runner from getting to second base, the batter runner, in this case Gordon.
Too bad. Now, you know what? I'm sure that.
Okay, now he's good. Now why throw it there? Running back.
All right, Morales did a good job, tried to duck the tag and tripped Anderson. He couldn't get Alex. So he stayed in the rundown long enough to accomplish that.
And because the right-hander in the bullpen isn't ready yet, Claudio is going to have to face Orlando unless Chirinos calls time, goes out for a conversation, and Bannister believes the right-hander warming is ready. All the meantime, digs in.
You know, Tony La Russa, who managed the Cardinals and White Sox, A's, as everybody knows. You know what he was really good at in a situation like this when he had a guy in the bullpen who wasn't quite ready? He'd find something to talk to one of the umpires about and go out and talk to the umpire, get into a little conversation, not a big argument, but a conversation on some little subtle thing. Hey, all of a sudden my guy's ready.
How about that? That's smart.
Yep.
Paulo's going to have to slow it down. You know, that changeup, that's what his main pitch against righties. Slow, slow, and slower. So for a guy like this, Denny, if I was facing him, I would belly up. I would move up on the plate, knowing that he's going to try to put that changeup on the outside part of the dish, and I'm going to be able to get it with my barrel. But sometimes, hitters don't like to adjust their feet. You know, 1 inch here or there seems like a mile to a hitter because they're so used to staying in that same toe hold.
Well, how about forgetting adjusting your feet? How about adjusting to the pitcher?
Exactly. They know Paulo Orlando has been doing the most damage with the runners in scoring position, 373.
He has 8 hits on this homestand and 5 in this series against Texas. Important base runner at second base, and Alex Gordon with 2 out.
Just being careful. Denny, Paulo has a majority of his hits are right up the middle this year. We showed a spray chart on him earlier. Pretty impressive when you can have a majority of your hits right back where it came from.
3 singles last night.
Yeah, and that
where'd they go?
I didn't see it. Me and Fizz were vacationing last night.
I noticed that.
Yeah,
right by the pitcher.
Okay, all of them went there. Yeah. So in order to do that, your mechanics have to be just great. You have to have bottom hand dominance and stay right in through that ball and stay short with your swing.
Here you are. But he didn't get all of it. Good idea, but
Royals leave a man in scoring position as we head to the 7th. This year, a 3.72 ERA, 39 strikeouts, 9 walks in 36 1/3 innings. But the 7th inning has been a bit of a problem for Kansas City this year as we take a look at our Phillips 66. What's in the tank? Last year, the Royals were plus 29 in the 7th inning. This year, they're minus 22.
Well, innings 7, 8, and 9, the way that baseball is structured now, the way that guys use bullpens, these are the 3 innings that a lot of times will decide the game.
The Royals the very best the last few seasons with Herrera, Davis, and Holland, and then Greg out with the injury last year.
Hoach at times has been up in the zone with his pitches. Normally that cutter is on the corner and down. He's got his overhand curves been hanging a little bit at times, and then he's got that 4-seam with straight one.
He finished the 7th inning on Friday, stranding runners at the corners by getting the pinch hitter Mitch Moreland to line out to right field.
The 3 of us have all heard managers say, first 6 innings, you guys go out and play. The last 3 innings belong to me.
That ball well struck left field. Gordon going back, and it is gone. Delino DeShields, of all people, continues to punish Kansas City.
Now let's see where the location was. It was middle in. Just pulled his hands in, and he's been hot. Almost missed a home run earlier when he hit a double off the left field wall.
Just recalled from the minor leagues last Wednesday. Number 9 hitter going deep. His 3rd home run this year. Here's Profar.
Talked about the Shields, you know, early, how he didn't make the team, or he got demoted because he was trying to pull the ball. And we're seeing some power. He's got some power.
Profar has been in a horrendous slump. I always thought that name sounds like a golf ball. You hit a Profar when you play golf?
Yeah, but not very far.
Well, not like a pro. No. Far.
Yeah, he's 0 for his last 20 now after that soft line out. Here is Mazzara, who is 1 for 3 today.
That's a slump, Fizz.
Yeah, the Royals have
0 for 20 is a slump.
Yeah, it is. But the Royals have to do a better job offensively. Said this earlier. If they don't score again, this will be the 12th time this month they've scored 3 runs or less.
I thought they would have got to Griffin more than they did.
Mm-hmm. They're going to score more before we're done today.
Texas's bullpen did last ERA in the American League, 4.95 coming in. One and two.
This guy's got a chance to be pretty good.
Sure does.
Yeah, they have Mazzara, who's just 21, Odor, who's 22, and Profar's 23. 3 talented young guys in their system on a first-place team. Morales, well, he's had a good day defensively. Time for our sprint trivia question. What 2 players hit more than Beltre's 427 career home runs without hitting 150 for any single team? What 2 players
Hit more than Beltre's 427? I told you Beltre has the numbers to go to the Hall of Fame.
Sure does. You know what? The way he keeps himself in shape, he could reach 500. You have to play a few more years, but he certainly doesn't look like he's slowing down at all.
That's a good question. That's a tough one there.
That's really hard.
How many different teams did Jim Thome play for? I know he had over 200 though, probably for Cleveland.
White Sox,
Cleveland, Phillies.
Two players that the hint is were both on the same team in their career in the National League West.
Piazza.
But he hit more than 150 for the Dodgers and more than 150 for the Mets because he wound up. He, as a matter of fact, is tied with Beltre right now with 427 home runs.
Denny, we knew we had a tough question. That's why we waited this late to break it out. When you were be in the booth, we thought you'd for sure get them.
Yeah, great with 2 outs in the inning where I'm leaving.
And a swing and a miss.
I don't know. As Zach Greinke once said, I don't know.
Dan, thank you very much.
Who is it?
2-1. It's a nail biter. Just like we promised you earlier in the game, though, it's Miller time. Brought to you by Miller Lite. And Kendrys Morales is putting on a clinic on both sides of the ball. Defensively, making some nice plays over there. Watch him dig this one out. That saved a run. And then earlier, this little short hopper stayed with it. Morales showing extremely soft hands over there and some agility. I like him. Man, he's done a fine job. And remember, last year and this year, he has not erred over there at first base.
The new pitcher is Keone Kela. He threw a shutout 7th inning on Friday. Comes out here for his 11th time. His ERA a huge 8.68, but a lot of strikeouts. And he will face the bottom of the order. 2 right-handers and a lefty in Merrifield, Butera, and Dyson.
Trying to build his arm strength back up there. He's low to mid-90s with his fastball. Has a power curve and a changeup.
Witt today 0 for 2. Once grounding out to short, then popping up to right field, batting under 180 the last month of the season to drop that average from up in the 340s to down to 273. Orioles need his production at second base. Stands up in the box. Keller's first pitch. Upstairs, ball 1.
It's time for Whitley to hit the gap.
Two balls and no strikes.
Like Eric Cooper wanted to call that. Got a flinch out of him. That's upper part of the strike zone.
Keller came out of the Seattle Mariners organization, then traded to Texas. Merrifield did not like that call.
Well, you know, I think the one Cooper missed was a strike, and so he gave him that one.
Two and two. Keller really working him up in the zone. Now he goes low and away and fouled off by Witt. Royals took the early lead on Morales' solo home run in the 4th.
She's saying I had it all the way. I was on my phone. I just knocked my phone out. I hope it didn't break it.
Texas with single tallies in the 6th inning on a single by Mitch Moreland, and then DeShields sent them in front on a solo home run to left off Hochevar. In there, strike 3 called.
Keela coming right there. That's a little too close to take. Got a pretty good part of the plate. You can see him. He's working Merrifield away. Very good command and control in that sequence of pitches there to Merrifield. Stayed up in that zone and away from him.
So it's Drew Butera. You've got an all-day call on him. Why not now? Singled his last time. He pumps this one into foul territory. Long run for Odor, who will not reach it, and bangs into the tarp.
Parents, help your child win the opportunity of a lifetime by entering them into our Kids Run the Show contest presented by Skippy for the game on Sunday, September 4th versus the Tigers. Your child could spend the afternoon assisting with select game day positions such as team photographer, K-crew member, TV broadcaster, in-stadium host, and more. The deadline to apply is August 1st, so parents, please fill out your application now at Royals.com/kidsruntheshow. They'd love it. Bring him up here to the booth, Fizz.
Looked like that young man, when you're reading the promo, he had one of those ammonia water towels over his head. He looked very comfortable.
I had that memorized. I didn't read that.
Well, you had that memorized? Good for you.
Kidding me? Yeah, look, that's a fun day. Parents got to sign the kids up, though.
Butera takes a breaking ball on the outside corner.
A little power curve. It just has a nice little drop to it.
Yeah, you wonder how long they'll be able to last with a bullpen that has been performing like this. And Houston breathing down their necks. Houston taking apart the Angels today, and the Angels will be coming to Kauffman Stadium beginning tomorrow.
Yeah, but I believe the Rangers are in the market for a reliever for sure.
I think you're right.
In order for them to endure the dog days coming up, gotta need some help.
Swing and a miss. Kela strikes out the first two Royals he faces here in the 7th inning. So here is Gerard Dyson, who was one of the stars in the Royals' come from behind victory late on Monday with a grand slam home run. Reached on the fielder's choice, actually stole second base, but slid past the bag, and fielder stayed with him and tagged him out. Keller was a big strikeout guy in the minor leagues, 135 and 99 innings. His first few seasons in pro ball. 2-0. Chirinos didn't like something.
He's trying to talk him into grooving a fastball right down the middle to Dyson. 2-0. That's what Dyson's got to be looking for.
You know, I thought the conversation was about, hey, you've got good stuff, be aggressive.
He does. He's very firm. He's coming in there. Dyson can get him a pitch here.
Good fastball at 95 miles an hour for a 2-1 count. Chopper to the right side. Dyson is out, so are the Royals. We head to the 8th. It's 2-1 Texas. That was a look at our AT&T high-speed replay, and now our game summary. Delino to Shields with a go-ahead solo home run in the 7th inning off Hochevar, and Morales has had a solid game with a double and a home run. He's also defended very well at first base with Hosmer, the designated hitter today. So here is Herrera facing Adrian Beltre. You know, when you talk about the Hall of Fame, and we were talking with Denny about Adrian Beltre being a star candidate for that. It's not just the 427 home runs and not also the Gold Glove defense, but the way he is as a human being, the way he treats people, the way he is with his teammates and clubhouse. A great character guy as well.
Right. He's got the whole package. Just don't touch his head, Fizz. He don't like that.
It's so funny because after he hits a big hit, comes into the dugout, one of his teammates will grab his helmet and try and take it off, and he says, "No, I don't like that." For some reason, he has a phobia about that.
Another base hit off Herrera.
He's 2 for 4. So let's answer the question. Our sprint question was about what two players hit more than Beltre's 427 career home runs without hitting 150 for any single team. How about Steve Garvey and Ken Caminiti?
It's a good call.
No, that's not it. It's Gary Sheffield and Fred McGriff.
Wow, the crime dog ended up with 499 home runs, did Fred McGriff. It's a Hall of Famer, if you ask me, Fred McGriff. We were teammates with the New York Yankees, Fred McGriff and I, a couple of just young guys, teenagers.
Hoying is the pinch runner for Adrian Beltre. Odor, will he be sacrificing? No, he's swinging away.
I wouldn't waste his bat on a bunt, that's for sure.
Well, he attempted that sacrifice earlier, and I just thought he might be, with Hoying in the game and the importance of getting him into scoring position late. 1 ball, 1 strike.
Fizz, it's tough to bunt a fastball at 98. You're better off letting the guy swing the bat.
Just making conversation.
It's okay. I'm not mad at you. I'm just telling you. It's hard to get that down. So you're better off taking a chance and let him swing it.
He does, and he cracks it to right field. So Hoying will stop at second base, and the first 2 Rangers reach in the top of the 8th inning. Herrera was terrific, excuse me, in Friday's 3-1 victory. He retired all 3 hitters he faced, recording his 22nd hold of the season. That is tied for 3rd in the major leagues. He has Andrus, then Moreland, and Chirinos.
Now, in this situation here, they might attempt a bunt. Now, that's make it an automatic.
You told me it's a 98-mile-an-hour heater.
Well, with nobody out, it changed the situation. Now it's tough. It's going to be tough, but we'll see. He's got 1 sacrifice bunt this year, and it's not a guy you want to square around on. If he leaves a fastball up and in, and you're exposed to a bunt, you're in trouble.
Cuthbert in, Morales in a bit. Bunt first base side.
Nice.
Only play first, record the out, but both advance.
Yep, nicely done. Better off getting it down first pitch, just like he did. Look at the angle of his bat. He's going to first base all the way. Good touch. You don't see Herrera get into trouble very often.
Jared Hoying now at 3rd base. Odor at 2nd base. Moreland, who already has 1 RBI that tied the game with a single to right field. Royals will bring their infield in, knowing how important it is. Just one more run for Texas. Herrera is a strikeout pitcher. He struck out 54 this year in 43 2/3 innings. Moreland, a guy who will stretch his zone a bit. He struck out 73 times this year. One ball, one strike.
You can stay high fastball on him with that velocity. It's going to be hard to get on top of that and hit it out of the park. More apt to turn on a heater that's down low. He'll be able to get to that. Change-ups, a really good pitch to a lefty.
Yeah, I don't think they mind walking him and allowing the Keystone to play back for a double play with Chirinos next.
Changeup's got to be away, though. There it is. That's the pitch there. That was a good pitch. Kept it off the plate. You can see Drew Butera sitting out away, saying, "Hey, look, don't make a mistake with that in." And that's a good spot over there. Couldn't reach it. Now you got that in the back of the hitter's mind, and this is the time you get him with a high fastball. Could stay with a change. We'll see what Drew puts on there. He's going to stay away again.
He struck him out.
Very nice. Stayed with it, doubled up with a changeup. Out of the zone.
You look at the movement on it, away from the left-handed batter.
That's right. Good spot.
Chirinos has been up 3 times with runners on base. Gordon robbed him up of a hit with a wonderful catch going back to the wall in the 2nd inning. He struck out in the 4th, and then Cuthbert with a long throw in the dirt, picked beautifully by Kendrys Morales at first base to end the 6th inning.
Okay, just a couple times he's faced that powerful fastball of Herrera.
Two and 0. Three balls and no strikes, and you've got to Shields, who has hurt the Royals, waiting on deck. He's been on base all 3 times, including that clutch home run last time up that broke the 1-1 tie. 3-1. Back in the count. Missed with the first 3. Now a 3-2 count to Chirinos. Robinson has struck out 28 times in only 88 at-bats this year. Got it. Great job by Herrera, striking out Moreland and Chirinos for the Royals. Top of the order coming up.
All right. Royals Royals score a lot of runs in the 8th inning on. It's time.
Kansas City area Chevy dealers. Visit us for great prices on the all-new 2006 Malibu. By Panera Bread, food as it should be, with 24 Kansas City metro locations. And by Academy Sports and Outdoors. Right stuff, low price every day. Texas with a 2-1 lead. We've got a new pitcher. It'll be left-hander Jake Diekman, who was reinstated from the disabled list on Friday through a shutout 8th inning yesterday. And you see his numbers, 2.65 the ERA. He has 19 holds this year.
Firm fastball, low to mid 90s, sweeping slider, and a changeup.
Escobar's been on twice with a single and a walk. Right-handers hitting just 175 off Diekman.
There's that little sweeper on the back door. Now the Royals have been very dangerous at home, we all know. But look at that. Plus 49 run differential in the 8th inning or later. That means 49 runs more than the opponent. Best in baseball. It's time.
Bounces that breaking ball in the dirt. We told you all the struggles the Rangers bullpen has had this year. Dead last in the American League with the highest ERA, almost at 5. And they've allowed 51 home runs, the most. Try to tease Escobar away.
Good for him. Escobar won't lay off those pitches. Can't hit him. Walk or a knock. Usually it's an ugly single that gets rallies going for the Royals. And lots of them come off of Escobar's bat. But really, can't hit that.
Good fastball moving away from him, strikes him out.
Folks, grab your running shoes and join Fox Sports Kansas City and the Royals at the Royals Charities 5K run on August 27th. Each participant will receive a World Series Champs t-shirt and Royals ticket voucher and have the chance to make a lap around the K. Sign up now at royals.com/run.
Here is Cheslor Cuthbert. Ball 1. Cuthbert could be his last chance to extend his hit streak. He hit in 12 straight games, but has lined out all 3 times.
It's time for the doinker. Good try.
Mazzara.
A nice run.
2 out. We could have extras. Just need to keep scratching. How about a breakout by this guy? Eric Hosmer's walking to the plate right now.
That'd be nice.
He had 12 home runs by early June, but only 1 since. Ball 1. Now left-handers are hitting just 154 against Diekman. 6 for 39.
He aired it out that time.
Just past the mound, cut off by Odor, and he just does get Hosmer at first base. So we hit the 9th inning of play. Texas with a 2-1 lead.
Yeah, tough play all the way around. Odor, a short little one hopper. Moreland, good pick.
And then our ram drive of the game gave them the 2-1 lead. It's Delino to Shields.
Yeah, the fastball in, and he just pulled his hands in, short and compact. Talked about him earlier in the game, struggling with his power. He's got power, but he's not a power hitter. He's a guy who gets on base, a catalyst type guy. But he's pulling out the power today at the K.
And this is a little surprising. Wade Davis, who got the save on Friday, comes in with the team trailing by a run. Usually he comes on in a tie game or with the lead.
Well, Ned knows best. Opponent's hitting just 173, 1.14 ERA, 34th appearance.
He will face DeShields, who has walked, doubled, and homered.
Cut fastball, 4-seamer, straight, low to mid-90s, overhand curve.
DeShields was 8 for his previous 60 after making an out in the first inning on Friday. He's had 3 big hits in this series since. Two and two. Hitters 9, 1, and 2 here in the top of the ninth. Royals will have Morales, Gordon, and Orlando coming up in the bottom of this inning. Wade Davis was part of the 2014 team, and this time in 2014 the Royals were 48 and 48, and they would actually lose 2 more games. But after that, they would go on this wonderful run, winning 24 of their next 30. Struck him out. Went after him with the fastball.
Follow Royals baseball live on your phone and tablet with MLB.com at-bat app. Stay up to the moment with game day video highlights, statistics, bilingual access, split views, radio broadcast, news, and more. Blackout and other restrictions apply. Download MLB.com at-bat, the #1 app for live Royals baseball on your phone and tablet. Get it now if you don't have it. You'll love it.
Here is Jerickson Profar. He takes strike 1.
You know, Fizz, that app is so good. If you're a baseball fan, you can get any game you want. You know, and it just irritates my wife to no end. She says, don't you get enough at the ballpark? Man, Uncle, on the games you're watching at 24/7. I said, honey, look, this is my business. This is fun, man. I like to watch what's going on.
Sam Dyson warming up in the Texas bullpen. He is the Rangers closer. Guy who has saved 19 games this year.
That would have hurt. Look at him, the little cupped area. See that bat? That's hollowed out at the end. It makes the head of that bat balanced better. It's not so top heavy. That Ken Griffey bat I got, Fizz, talked about, you know, I brought today to show off, a little show and tell, that Hall of Famer going in. It's really top heavy. All it needs is a little bit of cup in the end. Little bit of cup right here. You hollow that out, and that part, just like Profar's bat, and it balances the head, makes it a little bit easier to swing.
But Junior wanted it because of his strong wrists and hands.
Better believe that.
That ball will drop into right center field for a base hit for Profar. His first hit of the day. Junior going in today with Mike Piazza. How about Ken Griffey Jr.? 10 Gold Gloves, 7 Silver Sluggers, 97 MVP, 630 career home runs.
Look at Profar.
$1 million smile.
That's right, but Profar, he's excited about that hit. Hadn't got one in a long time. He says, all right.
That broken 0 for 20.
Yeah, and got a smile on his face.
Mazzara 1 for 4. He now has 10 hits on this trip. They were swept in Anaheim, trying to take 2 of 3 in Kansas City. One and one. Baltimore swept Cleveland. Royals, if they can come from behind, they can cut that lead to 7 games. We told you they have hitters 4, 5, and 6 coming up in the bottom of the 9th. Baltimore beat Cleveland today 5-3. This could be 2. It is a double play. Bottom 9th we go. Morales, Gordon, Orlando against Sam Dyson, the Texas closer. In the final game of this series in the bottom of the 9th inning, our premier Mazda game break. Well, Houston and the Angels, and it's the Angels coming in for a 3-game series starting tomorrow with Santiago going for Mike Scioscia and Ian Kennedy for Ned Yost.
Yeah, be a good series.
Pujols has been hot.
Yeah, Albert's swinging a good bat. It'll be interesting to see if the Royals can get that offense going against them.
The Angels swept the Royals in Anaheim back in late April. Kansas City has won 9 of the last 15 regular season games. You see with Pujols 22 RBIs since July 1st to lead Major League Baseball.
Trout's running 17 steals.
Yeah. So let's go get Dyson. Not Gerard, but Sam. 48th game this year, 2.44 ERA.
Got a fastball, low to mid-90s. He likes to sink that fastball. Sink a slider, curve. See if they can get something going.
Morales, switch hitter, batting from the left side, and Dyson much more vulnerable. 2 left-handers. Lefties hitting .273, righties .204. Strike 1.
Morales, he's having a really good day here.
A walk, a home run, a double.
Nice.
Responsible for the Royals' sole run.
And he saved a run earlier with his glove on a pick by third baseman Cuthbert. I mean, the outfielders, their backs are against the wall. They are scraping that wall. They are very deep on Morales. In the center field, Ian Desmond, he's deep. Way up there.
Kendra's got an outside fastball from Griffin. Drove it out to left. 1 ball, 2 strikes.
Beautiful swing. A little surprised that the rest of his teammates couldn't get more off Griffin, but look, they'll take it. Got him on the board first.
Dyson, not necessarily a strikeout pitcher, is 34 in almost 45 innings. He's blown 2 saves.
I like it. Morales, you know what? He's not up there trying to, pull a home run. He's trying to just lay it out there to left field and get on base. He sees how deep the outfielders are. All he's got to do is just kind of put an easy swing on a pitch that he can handle.
And the infielders are not playing him with as dramatic a shift as they did with A.J. Griffin, the right-hander.
He's got that right idea. And he throws harder. Griffin, soft tosser, 87-mile-an-hour fastball. He's going to get around on that and pull that. But this guy, Sam Dyson, throws a little harder, so the way Morales is swinging, they're playing him, playing that defense on it. Straight up.
Down the right field line. Foul! Oh, man.
Leadoff double would have been nice. But he's not done. Half a foot.
Dyson just had a quick conversation with his shortstop, Elvis Andrus. Count 2 balls, 2 strikes. Boy, he's putting together a good plate appearance.
He is. He's hot right now. And when you're hot, you're seeing the ball. It looks like a grapefruit. I'm telling you. And so he's just anything close here. Doesn't want to get called out looking, so he's taking swings at him until he gets the cookie. That's what happens when you grind him out.
The 9th pitch coming.
Yeah. Looking for the mistake.
Up the middle. Beautifully done. Now the Royals could pinch run Christian Colon or Brett Eibner.
Either one of them looks like it's going to be Eibner. Have a day, KMO. Good job. Short and compact. Like I said, on the 9th pitch, you waited him out for the cookie. That's the best pitch he's seen the entire at-bat. Look at that little short little step, good head position, right back up the middle. That ball was traveling at a high velocity. Exit speed. 2-seamer stayed up. Beautiful.
9 pitches. Then the line drive single. 3 for 3 on the day.
105 was the exit speed, in case you guys wanted to know. There it is.
Yeah, did you hear about the exit speed on Giancarlo Stanton the other day? He hit one 441 feet. It was like 116 miles an hour going out.
Not surprised at all.
How about one to Gordon? Way outside, ball 1. Gordon doubled his first time up. Popped up to third his second time and bounced out.
It's time to look him up. That means look for a pitch up in the zone.
A.J. Griffin watching. He was the starting pitcher, went 5. High fly ball. center field. Desmond makes the catch, and 1 out in the 9th. Now nothing but right-handers for Sam Dyson. Sam, we told you, very tough on right-handers. Ladies only batting .204 off of them this year.
Jeff Bannister's outfielders all playing deep, and they do that. So if the guy does hit a gapper, they can get to it quicker. Get that run in, especially with Eibner. Eibner's with above average speed.
Off the glove. Wow, great pick by Odor at second base.
That might have saved it. Dyson panicked a little bit. Would have had a double play in the game. Instead, he drops it and almost whipped the throw. Wow. There's a few smiles in there saying, man, we dodged a good one. Watch Odor now. Odor, the second baseman. He's going to concentrate. Catch it, just catch it. Yeah, good focus on catching and not bobbling. Nothing Eibner could do. Paulo, unfortunately, got robbed. Hit it right at him. That would have been another base hit for him up the middle and another rally. So the luck not going the Royals' way. Excellent play there.
And I thought we might have a matchup with 2 college teammates. Sam Dyson and Whit Merrifield both played on South Carolina when they won the national championship. But when you have Salvador Perez taking a day off, getting a break on your bench, you bring him in, and he has been so good pinch hitting in his career, but so good 8th inning or later. What is it, 15 home runs 8th inning or later by Salvador Perez?
Yep. Just look for that first good pitch you see. As soon as you can get into the game with your swing, you're gauging your swing on his pitch. Look, first pitch heater.
Outfielders, all 3 of them, very deep. On his hand and hit him. So the Royals only have 1 more man left on their bench, and that is Christian Colon. I saw him grab a bat, and I just saw Drew Butera go down back into the dugout after he was out there in the on-deck circle.
Jeff Bannister's wanted to know, hey, look, not so sure that hit him. He's saying it hit off the bat, but we'll show you different. Watch this. Right wrist. Fortunately, just grazed him. But see, the angle of that bat, it looked awfully close, because sometimes that umpire will get tricked when it hits off the bat. And if the player acts it out, and he acts like, he shakes his hand like he got hit that umpire, he's going to give him the base, and they're going to replay it.
This is an umpire review because they lost their challenge when the call stood earlier in the game. But Christian Colon, meantime, has moved to the on-deck circle, and he will be hitting for Drew Butera.
Looks like it hit his arm, or up near his wrist here. I don't know. That's an interesting angle there. Hard to see it at that velocity. Can't even slow it down. I don't know. Let's just take a look at it again here. Where did this hit? Got his arm. I'm still going to stay by it.
It's got to be clear and convincing to overturn it. Mighty important, because that moves Brett Eibner into scoring position where a base hit could tie it. Paulo Orlando, beg your pardon, at second base because he reached on the fielder's choice.
calling it a foul ball.
That was clear and convincing. Really?
Salvi's going to get a chance to win this game. This could be a good thing.
No, they're saying.
Oh, it looked like he said foul ball. You know, he made
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, he is. It is.
Yeah. Yeah. So.
Huh.
Yeah.
I didn't see that clear and convincing.
Well,
there, though.
yeah, I didn't either. But like I said, this could be a good thing for the Royals.
Let's hope so.
I like it. He's got power to all fields. Doesn't have to try to pull him.
Ground ball, base hit through the whole left side. Orlando stops at second base.
Okay, that's another pinch hit for him. Makes him a 1 for 2 this year off of Ned's bench. Good first ball. That's exactly what you look for when you're pinch hitting, man. That first good fastball. Same way with Colon, although he knows what to do off the bench. Let's show you this unbelievable Butcher Boy swing the last time he got a chance to pinch hit. Fakes the bunt, first 2 times up, third pitch coming. I'm pulling it back, and it's going to make a nice easy swing. Puts the ball in play. That was Monday night, and what a hit it was. The outfield, Cleveland Indians were playing shallow. Naquin, the center fielder, was shocked that he was able to Butcher Boy that past him.
Royals with 19 come from behind victories this year. Strike 1.
Colon likes to use the opposite field. He's not a guy who's going to try to pull everything most of the time. Good arm out there in right field. Mazzara has 6 outfield assists. Desmond has 6 in center.
Reminder, Boulevard Royals live with Joel and Monty after the ball game. Chirinos wants to talk it out with Dyson.
So if you're wondering about Colon in this situation here, is he nervous? Absolutely not. This guy, for as young a player as he is, has a great ability to slow the game down. It's the reason why he's had so many clutch hits for this team and come up in big opportunities and came through. He's not nervous. He's been here and done it.
In the wild card game against Oakland in the World Series clinching game, the go-ahead run in. The inning started with Morales singling. Eibner pinch ran for him. Gordon flied out. Orlando reached in the fielder's choice. And Perez with the single. It'll be a tough play for Chirinos, but he gets it done. And the Rangers take 2 of 3 from Kansas City.
Good try, just didn't have a lot of luck there. Paulo Orlando's ball back up the middle. Dyson knocked it down. Just no luck.
So Texas will hold on to their 2.5 game lead over Houston in the American League West. Royals stay 8 games back of Cleveland. We'll be right back.